This, you know how some people you just like in the comedy scene?
Yeah.
I really like this guy. Okay. Please introduce yourself.
I am Sean Boyles, musician, comedian, hair farmer.
There you go.
I had a joke about Corday, but he's not here. I was going to say Corday's here, but his neck isn't. That's what I was going to say, but I get it. I look like Sons of Anarchy joined a reggae band. I get it. I understand. I look like if Tom Hanks never got off of that island. I learned today that he's got kids. I had no idea he's got kids. I had no clue. That's his daughter right there, dude. That's his daughter. I had no idea he had kids. He doesn't talk about them. He's not proud of them. I'm sorry. He's never mentioned you once. I'd be like, oh, my beautiful daughter. But I'd be going on. No, he doesn't talk about you at all. He's a shitty dad. And no matter what music you're playing, if there's no soul there. I remember talking to a guy once, oh, you dig this band? He's like, nah, I don't hear any pain. Wow. Like, oh, wow. Wow, you don't hear, okay.
We need to up our game and shit. We need to do comedy butt naked, right?
Saying his goodbyes, he blew his eye socket off and his eyeball fell out.
White women keep kidnapping us. Y'all seen The Blind Side?
Aren't you glad we have that disclaimer at the beginning of the episode?
It's going to come in handy for this episode.
This week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Raps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Raps, where the big boys play.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all around the world, it's time for the world's favorite podcast, The Voice Party. To my immediate right, we've got JD R&D, a master comedian. We've got master musician Marcos Molinar, leader of Tomorrow's June.
No one gives a fuck about Tomorrow's June right now.
Yours truly, Black Joaquin, comedian extraordinaire Corday Snell. Ones and twos, maestro producer Phil Spooner. And our auspicious guest, he is a comedian by day, well, comedian by night, Don Sombra.
Thank you, guys. I love that intro.
What's up, bro?
How you doing, man? I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
Nice.
I know what the casting couch feels like.
Well, you guys still got your clothes on, so obviously you don't. No,
that's how you start. That's how you start.
That's how you start. You're right.
Obviously,
you're right.
you don't.
I'm 21. I'm just playing.
All right, so I just want to give the listeners a little backstory. So we were preparing to do our Halloween episode, which we do every year, and we have two guys that I guess we've had on the last 4 years on a Halloween episode. They were both here today. One of them, which you know, suggested you as a guest for like the Halloween week shows. Jose Contreras, which you know, he said, man, you gotta have this guy on. He's a mortician and he sounds like Candyman. That was all he told me. I was like, I'm sold. And then I hit you up.
You are. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no. So I know you've been doing comedy on and off for about a year.
About a year and a half. Okay. Yeah, I started in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think it was 420. On the day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the first day
right.
that I did it.
There you go.
And it was in kind of response to trauma from grandma dying and me cremating her.
Wow.
I wouldn't let anybody. It's kind of like a pride thing. You know, this is my family. This is my mess. I'm going to clean it up. Yeah. Is the way I think of it. And I did the same thing kind of for my grandfather before that too.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So just kind of let our listeners know, you work as, is it a mortician, undertaker?
Crematory operator, soon to be manager.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. So you do specifically cremations. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I manage the operations of the crematory, and then all the ins and outs, dealing with the people to do services sometimes, because they paid a little bit extra to come in and mourn the loss a little bit more than than they already had time to do. So
it's a big business.
It's a huge business, and it's a hard job. You know what I mean? It's just emotionally draining, obviously.
How do you get into this?
Craigslist.
Seriously?
Well, no bullshit. Like, basically, everything that came into my life that makes me, like, interesting, I found on fucking Craigslist. Like, I used to be part of a bike club. They called me Craigslist Zoe because I found them on fucking Craigslist. This no bullshit. And then, so it was cool. I ended up taking the job from somebody else. Like, they were in there for about a month prior, and they weren't cutting it, and I stole the job from him, and I've been rising ever since.
Okay, but are you looking up how to, like, cremation jobs?
No, it was in I think it was in gigs or part-time jobs. You know, I was just looking for a job at the time, trying to get out of the temp agency cycle.
Sure.
You know, and the death industry I already worked in before. I was doing motorcycle escorts for funerals.
Okay.
Which I love that job to death. No pun intended. And
it was still made.
And then I turned into I'm not going to say delivery driver. That's kind of rude. Basically, I went to go pick up bodies. Transport.
Oh, transport.
Yeah. So I did transport for a little
transport
bit.
Or something like that.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many numbers you get thrown at. You know, like when you're doing that kind of job, you know, trauma kind of affects people differently. And I had a few opportunities, to put it kind of bluntly. So, yeah, fun stuff. I missed that job, too.
I mean, there's always work.
To be made, yeah.
To be made, yeah.
I could have been an escort in more than one way, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
A long time ago, like, I was right out of high school, and I was looking for work, and one of my aunts works for the courts in Richmond, and she's always got connections, and one of the jobs, she told me, hey, I mean, I know this is going to might not be what you want to do, but there's like a job opening, someone that we work with through the court system, that it's a crime scene cleanup. There's no bodies, but it's crime scene or like death cleanups, and it's good pay, all hours. You can work whenever you want, but just, you know.
You get to see some messed up stuff.
Yeah. And I said, nah, let me see what Little Caesar's talking about. Because it's not for everybody. That's why I wanted to kind of, like, you know, I've been wanting to have someone in that field on the show for a long time, because it's a different reality.
For sure.
Yeah. When you first took this job, like before, I mean, were you exposed to seeing things
or
before
death
that?
in general?
It's going to sound kind of crazy, mind you, but just follow me here, right?
Okay.
So ever since I was like a teeny bopper, like right before I became a teen, there was, you know, weird shit happening around me and in my family that you just can't really explain. You know what I mean? It's just like, why the hell are there shadows in here when there's nobody standing there? You know what I mean? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever seen the picture of the like after a nuke? Like they'll have the that's basically what was standing in the middle of the living room.
Shadow people?
Shadow people, exactly. Yeah. And there was also like have you heard about the Hat Man at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just talked about this.
Okay, so
it's you.
Yeah.
You're the guy in the shadow.
standing outside of my bedroom.
Talked about the last guest we had on for the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Was someone involved in rituals, and that's what we discussed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been kind of exposed to that, you know, seeing on the other side of the veil kind of stuff. And it sounds weird to say, but they've told me a lot of things, like in my sleep, half awake, you know, it's kind of like sleep paralysis demon type stuff, but you're not stuck. You're just listening, like, who else talking to me?
Sure.
What have they told you?
Basically that death is just an illusion, that there is another side to this, that there's more than meets the eye. Obviously, you can't really see everything that's going on, but you lose the ability to have the imagination capable of seeing across the veil as you get older, because you start getting more grounded in reality and less in the fantasy land, you know, where you're open to believing what's not really there.
That's why kids see more.
That's why kids are always like, hey, you know, do you see this guy just standing? You know what I'm saying? Like, you've seen videos of them doing that, and it's ubiquitous. You know what I mean?
I had an imaginary friend, they called it Imagine, when I was growing up. I don't remember this, but it freaked my mom out, because one time I was crying because I got hurt by the imaginary friend.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it depends on how negative your life is in general, like how much negativity surrounds you is how you get affected by these other entities, because they're basically parasites. They just come in, they feed on the negative energy, and the more negative energy that's in the household, the more they congregate in that area, and that's why like you go in certain places and it's cold.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, for us, it's heat that keeps us alive and warm and, you know, whatever. You know what I'm trying to get at here, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're beings of light, they're beings of darkness, we're beings of heat, they're beings of cold. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
Where did you grow up by each other?
Castro Valley, Hayward, foster care kicked me all over the place, you know what I mean? So I've been around, long story short.
For sure.
And that's the reason why a lot of that trauma attracted these things over to the household. Mom wasn't helping. And yeah, I got exposed to that a long time ago. And I just knew, well, let me put it like this, right? I got the first job doing the escorting and the transport 3 months before my grandfather died. Right? It's a little weird. I got this crematory job 6 months before my grandma died.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, and then on the death certificates, you can see death certificates of people that you're cremating, because obviously this information needs to be passed around. And a lot of permits had the last name Gonzalez and a lot of the same birthday time frame around when she was going to die. Shortly before she passed away, she started giving me more money. Like, she just knew she was going to die. Like, we all kind of know as a family, like, death is always around the corner, and we kind of just know when it's going to happen. So I don't think it's a coincidence, though, that I got the opportunity to get these jobs before my grandparents died and actually maintain those positions to be able to help my family in those really critical times. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a mistake. Is all I'm getting.
It was meant to be.
Absolutely.
It's also a financial burden when it happens, and like to have to.
Do you still have to charge them?
Yeah, we got a discount. I mean, I told my my boss basically that my grandparents were the fill-in parents. I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys can understand what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Oh,
You know, mom was doing her best. Dad was gone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
that's why I call myself the Shadow, Don Sombra. You know what I mean? It's just like always forgotten about, put in the corner, just left to my own devices in foster care at home and whatever else. And then I put myself in those situations as a result from the trauma. And that gave me the ability to see all the crap that I just, tried to describe to you guys as best I could, because it just doesn't sound real, but you can't make this stuff up.
So that's how you that led you to where you're at now with this. Okay.
And the connection to death and all that, basically just having an understanding and a knowledge and a belief that I'm here for a specific purpose, and then as soon as I'm done here, I have another job to do.
Right.
It's never going to end.
Right.
Do you are you afraid of death?
Hell no.
No.
Greet it like an old friend.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I even look at it like you guys are nerds like me, I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
Thanos, the original fucking story behind him,
Yeah.
is that he was in love with death.
death.
himself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Lady Death's a bitch, so she's like, you know what? You can clean my shoes, motherfucker. Like, just get off to the side.
I'm gonna send you all these souls.
And then he
But
started sending
babe, I
souls.
killed half the universe, and she's like,
like-
I'm unimpressed.
And then she ended up going to fuck Deadpool or something.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a jealous ass nigga,
Yeah.
That's the way I kind of look at it too. It's kind of like, death has kind of courted me since I was young,
Yeah.
in a sense. And then I'm kind of smitten, stuck. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing I can do to escape it.
Does it kind of make you too cynical at times though, doing what you do?
A little bit nihilistic, not gonna lie.
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
How many babies are you gonna cremate before you start going, the world is fucked up?
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Shit, yeah.
or drug addicts dying in the street, and homeless people that just freeze to death. Because
I was gonna say, what happens with that? Like, do you just have to, like, if they have no family to take?
they call those indigent cases.
Okay.
Right. So indigent cases are basically where there's nobody to be contacted to help.
This
take
person.
Which is a lot of the cases sometimes, right?
The majority of the people that are like homeless and drug addicts and things of that nature, the family, it's not that they can't, it's that they won't.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like you, as an individual, took that responsibility from us, and now in death even, do we continue to hold you liable for that?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I respect that decision 100%. But it's all in the taxpayer's dime for them to get cremated or buried, or usually
Sure.
just
So-
cremated and
so-
scattered to the wind.
Yeah.
Right.
That's usually what happens.
So taxpayer money government will step in and say, all
Yeah.
right, we'll throw your company whatever X amount of dollars to just.
Before you did this job though, you had already seen bodies and stuff like
I
that.
was gonna say, have you experienced a lot of death growing up?
The first death that I actually felt, that really hurt me, it was right after, I hate to kind of like put it like this, but I graduated, and then I had an ex-girlfriend that we had a messy breakup, and then my granny on my dad's side, dad, she was granny, because she, when I was young, she was around, she took care of us, and she, that's granny. I love granny to death, Granny Smith. She ended up dying of AIDS and hepatitis and a couple of other diseases because the man that she was married to got her addicted to the, to the stick.
Gotcha.
So she caught a whole bunch of stuff and ended up dying right after that. And that was the first time that I've, went through that. But ever since I started getting in the death industry, that's when a majority of the deaths in my life started happening.
Okay.
It's just like, death was like, hey,
Towards
get ready,
adult.
like get in here. This is the work that you need to do now.
Yeah.
And then when your family's all dead and gone and you've done enough, then you can move on to do whatever you need.
Sure.
What's
the word? Like when you're numb.
Desensitized.
Desensitized. Do you find yourself desensitized now to like the idea of
A body that you have to burn.
family death sometimes? Because like for me, the only reason I asked that is because like in my family, all my life, we used to make this joke that was like our quota for family members that have died has got to be at least 5 a year, right? Because that's how many people died every year. We have a big family, and during the pandemic, we had over 20 family members and friends die.
That's insane.
And you kind of get desensitized at some point. After you're like week after week, someone's died. You're like, all right, well, I still got to go to, baseball practice or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play baseball, but
work,
you still got to go to work. I can't stop. And my boss doesn't believe me anymore that 12 of my aunts and someone's died every week. Like I can't take these off anymore.
Yeah.
I've missed so many funerals now, or even I hate to say this and. But whatever. But like, I've skipped some funerals just to come do the podcast because I'm like, dude, people die all the time, and it's not like they weren't like super close to us, but like they're like maybe family friends that I haven't seen in 10 years, and I'm just like, I got stuff to do.
Basically, can you differentiate from family and regular people? Like
no, like desensitized. Do you feel desensitized? Yeah, you're on.
Oh, you can't hear sound? Can you? Okay.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right.
Cool.
Like, are you desensitized with like family now sometimes? Or have you had not had enough?
I want to preface this by saying I'm not trying to discount what you've experienced. Sure. You know what I mean? But the sheer volume of family on my end is small. Okay. And that means that every death means. I hate to say it, a little bit more, because there's only like 7 of us.
Sure.
And now there's even less because grandma and grandpa are dead. Right. Uncle separated
100%.
himself from everybody else.
100%.
And that means it's just my mom, my stepdad, and all my siblings, basically, and my aunt.
Right.
My aunt's now, because she's going to get married to another woman. It's cool.
And it's like the more you lose, the more alone you feel, too.
Not really.
Assume, no?
Not for me specifically, because of the Don Sombra thing. The reason why I feel like a shadow is because I was alone a lot. You know what I mean?
So that hasn't changed necessarily.
If anything, it's just expected at this point. Sure. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, it's coming true. The prophecy's coming true. I'm going to be left alone at some point.
Right.
But there's one thing we can't avoid is that 99% of the time you die alone. You know what I mean? There's going to be people standing there like watching over you. Oh my God, But it's a journey that you got to take by yourself.
Right.
For the most part, unless you get in a car accident with everybody in the car.
9/11.
Yeah, 9/11. There's another one. It's like when there's a tragedy like that, it hurts even more because now we lost more than one person at a time. And
right.
It hurts even more.
It's true. I mean, we do die essentially by ourselves, but we are also very social in nature and have a need for human connection on a certain level. A lot of people, maybe not everybody, but like, from very young, you have friends now. I'm certain, like a social life of some sort, some companion. Some people get dogs, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah. I'll say that. I'll say this too. I've actually been very lucky that like my grandparents that have died on my mom's side, aunts, uncles that we were super close with, we were able to be with them at their last moments.
That's beautiful.
Because we've gone through that death so much that we kind of know, okay, they're going downhill. That means it's like, especially in a Mexican family, we would go every day, spend all day with them for the last 2 weeks of their lives, even if they're unconscious, at this point, they're not conscious. All we're doing is changing them, just to make sure they're comfortable. We're all there as a family. Yeah. And we've gone through that a million times, So I am very, like, I feel blessed in that sense, but like you do at some point kind of get like, okay,
Who's next?
Who's next? Yep.
Well, the one thing that I've done to alleviate the pain of that, because there are even times when there's services that are going on that I'm officiating more or less, where I'm in charge of it, where it's a kid or somebody young and they tragically lost their life in an accident, or for example, there was a 2-year-old that got hit by a car in a parking lot.
Right.
It just got run over, and the family was very devastated. It was their only child.
Sure.
So that stuff hits me still to this day.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to step away from emotionally getting, because I know a lot of the people
Like getting-
officiating, they can't, like, does it ever happen where you feel something at that moment, maybe you need to step away, or can you just stay there and
Professional?
I can stay in the pocket. It's not difficult for me to, you know, at least express to them that I'm feeling the same pain that they are, and they can see it in my face. I'm not faking it. You know, it's just this pains me so much to have to do this, but it's my job, and I'm going to do it with such honor and respect that you're going to walk out of here probably feeling better. I hope.
Yeah. Right.
You know, that's the least I can offer.
Yeah.
Because
Or
you know,
at least without a worry. An extra worry.
Well, the worries are all gone now. You know, it's about to be lit up in flames. So, you know, there's no more worry in death. That's the eternal rest, right?
Sure.
You know, that's just all these worldly problems that we burden ourselves with every day and look at ourselves in the mirror and judge ourselves for. It's all temporary. So the best thing to do is just appreciate what you have and forgive yourself for any transgressions you may have had against other people, and maybe say sorry to them. But, you know, at least if you have no regrets, then you die with a smile. And that's something that I aim for every day. You know, I've only ever picked up 2 bodies that had smiles on their faces. One was a kid, and one was a grown-ass man. And one of them got in a ski accident, but was next to his dad up until his last breath. And the other one was the guy that pulled a fart joke before he passed. Can't make this up, man. It really happened.
Was it the kid in the ski accident?
It was the kid in the ski accident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comforted by the presence of his father.
Yeah, I remember his name.
That fart joke must have been funny.
Yeah. It was legit. He legit was like, "Hey, pull my finger," to the nurse. And the nurse came in and he let out one fat one. He's like, "Ah."
I just died.
And just died right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I went to go pick him up. I was like, this is kind of creepy. You know? But yeah, the nurse told me about that, and I couldn't help but laugh.
Yeah.
It was one of those things I took home with me.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a near-death experience?
2. Okay. So I don't know if anybody can like catch this, but there's a big ass crack in my forehead right here, right, going all the way up and down.
Okay.
When I was in foster care, I was about 7 or 8. A bunch of the kids at the community center that I was kind of hanging out at, they got like go-karts and bikes and a whole bunch of other wheeled things without motors, and said, we're going to the top of 167th or was it 167, 168th in San Leandro, which is, you know, at the time was basically like this of a hill.
Yeah.
You know, it was steep, and you know, 2 or 3 times we went down. On the 4th time, I hit a manhole, and then the front end twisted on me, and I went. Yeah, R. Kelly was in my head at that moment, but I ended up landing.
I believe I could fly. That version.
Yes. But I didn't believe I could fly because I saw the ground coming at me. Yeah. I went face first into the cement, and then I ended up getting scrapes in like places you shouldn't get scrapes at. Yeah. Like I got a scar on my gooch from this thing. Like I did the splits. It was bad.
Yeah.
And then ended up with 2 big knots on my forehead on this side, and then the crack on this side. They had to take me to the hospital for concussion treatment, but I had passed out before they got there. Mm-hmm. So there's a slim chance I might die there.
Right,
you know.
right.
But I woke up, however, who knows how long later, with a giant fever and throwing up. Mm-hmm. You know, and my foster parents were like, "Oh my God, we're not going to lose our money." You know, so. But that was one. And then, I mean, I ride a motorcycle, so there's...
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of near
so you're
there.
really not afraid of that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Every day.
Can't be. And I usually commute on it, too. So there's times when people are, you know, "Oh, you slip through traffic, motherfucker." You know, like...
Yeah.
I've had a few of... Oh, look, it's back. A few of those. Sorry, I couldn't hear my voice for a little bit, if you're wondering. Nice.
No, so that's I've always been curious, bro, and I apologize in advance now that we're friends on IG. I might get some random questions at 3 a.m. or fucking, you know, just because I've always okay, this is the last, before yourself, the last mortician I was talking to, or she was a mortician, though one of the brief times I was on Tinder, I found this mortician chick.
Nice.
We became friends, like on social media. We were planning on going on dates, but I was not really trying to go on a date. I more than anything wanted to know about her job. And then I was like, "You should come on my podcast." Like, "Are we gonna fucking hang out or what?" I'm like, "Oh,
on the podcast."
But she told me like everything, bro, like the craziest stories I've ever heard. She told me that she embalmed her cousin who had cancer, and she felt a very like, this is my own, like, you know, you ever seen a Pet Sematary 2? You bury your own. Yeah.
Extreme ownership.
Right. Yeah. That's how she felt. And she said, it's a cousin she grew up with. It was sad, but she also, it's like, I get to do her makeup the way she was as she was living, and same with her mom. And she just told me, you know, coming to work at the cemetery early morning and finding people doing rituals in one of those, like, get out of here, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
trying to summon the dead. They're trying to sleep.
Right? Yeah.
Hey, just let them rest, bro.
Right. Apparently that's the thing. Like in her cemetery, I think it was San Jose or somewhere, where that was like a big thing. Seeing people doing brujeria and stuff.
Yeah, in Alum Rock.
Yes. So you've heard. So have you had those experiences too?
Yeah, my ex actually thought herself a witch at some point, and you know, she's a liar. But and that's the reason why we broke up. But at the same time, like I said, with my experience with death, I can kind of call that shit out for sure.
Yeah.
It's like if I walked into a room with like Maria Abramovich, if you guys know who that is.
Yes.
Right, the performance artist.
Yeah.
That woman is blessed by death.
Yeah.
Like she legit has some kind of connection to the other side.
Didn't she have like a performance art where they pointed a loaded gun at her?
She basically just allowed humanity to do whatever they wanted to her, and they had to stop the display after a guy basically tried to bend her over in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, that's enough. And she started crying and was traumatized for a while because, hey, look at how humanity acts when you just allow them to do what they want to.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You know, it's crazy. But
and she's also into ritualistic stuff, from what I've read.
Absolutely. I believe that she can actually communicate non-verbally, which is a huge indicator of somebody that's connected to another realm of existence. You know what I mean? If you can kind of look at somebody and express a whole line of thought without saying a word, that's when you know that you got some kind of connection to something else.
Telepathy.
It's less telepathy and more like a mutual understanding of nature kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the way the cycle works.
Like such a deep spirituality, like presence, power almost.
Yeah. You kind of project that onto other people. It's like, you know, the vibrations that people, you know, that sounds weird, but it's legit. You know, it's like what you put out is what you get back, because it's, you know, it's bouncing off and coming back to you.
I knew someone like that, and it talked about what they did to me in the last episode, and you know, they came from Mexico doing stuff that got them in trouble in Mexico. So they were here now, and it was a weird I'll tell you an experience I had with that person. Sorry, bro. Sorry for bringing this up. I know you don't, but I was at a funeral and I shared thoughts like in my head with my friend that had just been murdered. And then I went to see her afterwards. Didn't mention this to anybody, what I said in my head to my friend, and she said everything I said to me. Like word by word, like I know you told your friend this, and like, oh shit, okay, and that kind of stuff. I think I've told you that, right?
This is the way that I can specify it. It's not like you're reaching out and pulling things back in, you know, for information. It's just you're open to the idea that the information can be given to you. If that makes sense? Yeah. So what happened is she's attuned to it, and somebody, maybe your friend, heard what you said and translated or gave it to her, and she's so open and attuned to it that she can just repeat it directly, exactly the way it is. But other times, people that aren't good at it, like I'm not the greatest at that, it's muffled. But there are times when you can definitely tell there's somebody trying to talk to you that's not you. You know what I mean? There's voices that come in, you're like, that wasn't me.
Outside influence.
You know? Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll have that, you're like, that wasn't my thought. You know what I mean? Like, that it sounds like me, but it wasn't me. You know?
So I don't like stuff like this. I've told JD about stuff like this, but I remember I shared with them one time, like I feel like possessed by something, like a cold thing. And I remember I had a baby brother. Well, he's 18 now, but this how long ago? I think it was like 4 or 5 or something like that. And then it was like the laundry room. He never wanted to go in there. And then I remember I was like, why is the washing machine always going? My mom was like, oh, your dad was putting stuff in there. And I was like, he said he was upstairs. And then so later, like kind of like a possession type thing happened. And my mom found out later that like I had started dressing in all black. She said the boy who lived in that room before, he was dressing in all black because something was in that. But then like you said, people reaching out, talking to you. Like my dad passed away when I was 11, about to be 12, May 23rd. And then sometimes he kind of reaches out and like talks to me like in like several, like I'll be like kind of like something's weird. Something's like kind of feeling like a little off today. And he'll kind of share like kind of like just have like moments of need and kind of stuff like that, or like parents coming to you like in your sleep. And sometimes it's kind of like a thing where it's like it's, I remember I've had like dreams where I'm just with my dad in like a sense, and we're just like just shopping at like Montgomery Wards. I'm like, why are we like in Montgomery Wards? And like, and
Like
I'm,
memory.
Yeah, like, and I'm little, and like we're just, and it's just like, and just like help my like spirit and mood for like a week or two. Or like one time, I remember I was just sitting in my car and I just sat there for like 30 minutes.
Does it happen in a time when you need that dream?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It happens like at a time of the year. I remember one time it was a weird day off and stuff like that. I remember I was like kind of like not in a good mood one time, and I was about to go to like I think a show or something. I didn't feel like going, and then I sat there for 30 minutes. My dad talked to me, and he was just like, "I'm proud of you. Haven't talked to you in a while. Like I'm proud of
like the Uncle Ben Spider-Man dream."
Yeah.
But something I want to specify here: it's not like you were hearing those words; it was more like you were feeling the emotions as if those words were spoken.
Yeah.
Right?
I think.
And I have a question for you: was there a certain spot on your neck that your dad used to like grab you when you were younger?
Yeah, like the back of my neck. Yeah.
Back of your neck. Do you still feel that every once in a while?
Yeah.
Next question.
Presence in the room.
Wow. No, yeah. So it's cool. And the reason why I asked you, like, you ever had like a close near to death experience? Because I remember like so. I don't think I ever shared this. I was 19, and I remember like so I have like this condition, right? And I remember I was in a hospital, and I remember I felt like the breath like leaving me, like right. And then I remember I kind of like
the parasite,
like passed out, right?
Yeah.
And then I always share this like with my grandma, like cause she died. I think she said she like lost consciousness or whatever, like or just flatlined for like several minutes. And then like when I shared with her that like I was like she's like God was like holding me or something like that, like this white light. And I remember for me it was like I would just kind of like left and kind of just like just white light. They always talk about the white light, and I was like there, and I was like what is this? And but then like I kind of saw something, and then like it just like got pulled down like all of a sudden, and then it came back, and then I woke up in a sense, and I was just see like people in front of me crying. And I was like what happened?
Yes, that I was actually to add to that, man. Like I want to tell you this too, because it's different. But my situation, I think I've told you guys my experience where I had to I just left town because of some kind of like drug shit that at the time someone close to me got into and involved me. And that whole week before I decided to like quit my job, kind of go into hiding.
Fair enough.
That whole week, bro, I felt like death was on me. Like if I didn't leave, I was gonna get shot up or something, kidnapped and tortured or something.
Because you're aware you're in danger.
I don't know. It was a weird feeling I felt, bro, where like one time I felt like someone was in the back seat of my car while I was driving, and it was just like any minute now I'm gonna get popped or something. Like, and it was a weird, like
anxiety.
I feel it's coming. Like I feel it coming. You know.
Yeah.
Anybody in your situation would be feeling high levels of anxiety.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I feel like sometimes you can feel when like that's like it was a similar thing where I felt like it's that's why I decided. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna go live like a hermit, for 6 months or so, and not have contact with people, but I felt like I gotta prepare myself to feel either hot bullets in me or something. It's a car crash, something.
And then it turned out they weren't really looking for you, right? Because you came back.
I don't want to talk about that.
How do you decipher?
But you know what I mean?
How do you decipher the difference between like an anxiety attack like that, though, where you're like, I'm so anxious because I know I'm in the situation, right? Versus being like, I feel a legit energy of death behind me, because like you could just be like, oh, I'm scared all the time, like I feel like someone's behind me. You're just paranoid. That's a normal human reaction.
It was a little different. It was a little different.
It's the difference between being internal and external. Is the way I try to describe it. If the feeling of anxiety is coming from within you, it's welling up and then taking over from within, usually around your chest area. That's where it starts, and then it starts spreading out and it hits your head. And once it gets to your head, that's when you start
freaking out,
right? And that's what a panic attack is. The anxiety becomes overwhelming and your body just freaks the fuck out. When it comes to feeling anxiety from outside, it's more like your body's reacting first and then your mentality is reacting after. If you can understand the difference, what I'm trying to say, right? It's like your brain is freaking out and then your body reacts to that, and that's what causes anxiety. It's your body reacting to something and then your brain going, what the hell was that? That's the difference. So it's just flipped.
Got you.
So it's like hair stands up, you get goosebumps or whatever. Like it suddenly starts getting cold when you start, saying certain names and things of that nature. So.
Because it was like, what was that? Like kind of like,
what was that?
Yeah, it was like something like,
because there's a difference
from near you versus anxiety is like starts here, like you said.
Yeah, it's a difference from anxiety than to that in a little bit. Like there's a anxiety, like there's something like a suspenseful feeling you have when someone's about to pop a balloon in front of you, kind of like and to having just like almost a supernatural feeling of I don't know if I'm gonna be around for November, you know, like it was, and that's I've never felt that before, and even in parties I've been at that got shot up growing up, you know, or the time that I got shot at in another party where the bullet was right next to me. I think I probably was just too stupid back then to like, whatever, maybe it was just too drunk and high. But that, like, I felt like, ooh, like, you know, something's like you said, like I'm coming, Grandma.
I suspect the context of those interactions are different. Like, were they aiming at you personally?
No. It was just, it was
and
random.
You were
but I was
that
still,
it was random.
but I was still like close enough to like, oh shit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But you were also aware that it was random. It wasn't aimed at you versus
For sure.
like, you know, fuckers are hunting for you. You're like, no
or
one's going to be able to.
Or might be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a different level of anxiety. I'll tell you that. Being hunted.
Yeah.
That ain't cool.
Yeah. No.
To kind of reiterate, go back to circle back to what you sound like a manager now. To circle back to what Corday was saying earlier, right? So a big, like I was saying before, they're attracted to fear and negative energy, right? So the biggest thing you can do, and listen to you out here, if you want to keep yourself away from negative spirits, don't be a negative focused individual. It's that simple, right? Don't be ridden with anxiety. Don't be depressed. Don't be angry. Don't be any of these other really bad, I would say like red emotions. You know what I mean? Like I love the color red. I love the color maroon. And I represent that because I came from a very angry place and that's where these things came in. But that being explained, if you live that life, you get what you reap what you sow. Yeah. So that's what you're attracting. You're attracting negative energy parasites, and you're going to be surrounded by them at all times.
Would you say like watching content based on that attracts that?
Less that. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because some people are negatively affected by seeing certain things like that.
Yeah.
But for me, go back earlier, seeing so many cartel-style beheadings, it doesn't affect me at all. Yeah. ISIS already kind of, 4K quality, stuff, and that's the good stuff. If you want to watch some beheading videos, they got the whole subtext and everything, high-level producers and stuff. It's great, but I don't condone violence.
You can see the bones in you separate in just the greatest bit of detail. It's practically educational for someone in your line of work.
Exactly.
Right?
Can we take that shot again? The lights were off. Yeah, no, that's a good point you mentioned because like my first time I ever saw someone murder was like 7 years old. Where in the neighborhood I grew up in Richmond, it was very violent. But and now I'm at comedy shows. I'm playing with my godchildren. I have fucking cats. A lot of my life is positive now. Yeah. But I still he gives me shit for it because I like watching true crime stuff, and I do and I do watch like paranormal stuff. It is interesting to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't. That's why I asked you what your opinion is because I don't feel like because he says you said like I like dark shit, but I think it's because it's very far from what I am now. Well, I'm always interested in that kind of thing.
I say this because sometimes it affects the way he thinks. And like you said, negatively, he'll start thinking negatively about himself, about other people, and you start seeing like he starts complaining about certain things that I'm like, hey, man, you can stop worrying about that. Do you. Stop, you know what I mean? Stop doing this. Just focus on you. Don't worry about like this and that. You didn't do bad today.
Yeah.
Like
beating myself up over my set.
And like we're all artists here. We're all artists. 100%. We beat ourselves up for sure.
Yep.
But he gets to this point sometimes where like he gets really negative.
It becomes abusive at a certain point.
To himself.
Yeah.
So like I get concerned and I'm like, dude, it probably has to do a lot with what you're watching. You're watching negative things all the time.
I don't think it would change the way I feel about that because I've heard I think that's just being a perfectionist with my art.
Sure, but
that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way. I really stopped. Sorry to bring this up again, but like when I got sober, like I changed the kind of things that I watched a lot, the kind of content I was consuming, and I was very like influenced by that. So like
for sure,
me drinking and doing drugs a lot. Like I loved music about that artist that were like living that lifestyle. I was like, I'm gonna be like him one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like for me, when I started watching different things, started really paying attention to his comedy and started going into more deep dive music on production and stuff and just things that were positive and good for me, it really kind of turned my brain a little bit and was like, okay, I'm surrounding myself with nothing but good stuff. Even if I'm in my room, you know, for whatever, after work or whatever, I'm by myself, I'm still consuming something good and positive to some extent. It's okay to watch the true crime. I like, you know, some of those on TikTok sometimes, but like to watch that all the time.
No, which is that like, yeah. No,
and sometimes you go through those stints where like that's all you.
Yeah, no, and I pull away. Like I know to pull away like from some of that stuff sometimes, especially if you're not like. If I'm not in my right mind, I don't want to watch a Jeffrey Dahmer, you know, documentary or you know, I'd rather watch some Always Sunny or something, you know, like, and that's something to kind of just take my mind away from that. Yeah,
I hear you 100%.
So that's why, like, every time, like you always be sending me like stupid shit, like the middle of the night, like 12 a.m. or some shit like that. I turn on Mickey Mouse. I turn on like the complete opposite. I turn on Disney cartoons or something like that to get my mind like off that. Like, oh, let's play the Goofy movie or something like that.
Right.
Like my aunt used to always watch like Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted, and like just turn the lights down, just make it like she's like this is hella creepy. I'm like, no lights are on in the house. Yes, it is super creepy. So then and then you talked about like watching stuff, right? Like I always tell JD, he was like, don't worry, bro, this shit's not real. It's not going to affect you. But I tell JD, I was like, JD, my imagination is so vast and so big. I will make this real.
Right.
So that's why I always try to tell him like,
and that's why I stopped sending you stuff.
Because I'm like, no, it's not your. It's like that's just your imagination. I'm like, no, dude, I will make this realistic, or like
he
or become
will start serial killing tomorrow. Stop this.
I don't know about that, but I would feel like the negative stuff, like you said. Don't. I remember like because when that was happening, like I couldn't drive because of my conditioning. Like I was having like seizures, which later got misdiagnosed as something else. It was like you could like they said, oh, I had epilepsy. I actually didn't. I had like this other kind of a thing. So my license was suspended. I couldn't drive nowhere, and then it was like I couldn't play football. So those like 3 depressions right there. It was like everything I was working for. Like I had because of the medicine, I gained like 75, 80 pounds within like a 9-month span. So I was like all like this like really good shape that's like gone. So I'm just like living this other life of like, will I go back to playing football? I don't know. Will I get my license back? I don't know. Like, and then I had to go, I think it was 3 months seizure free, and then I can get like start working back, right?
To get your license.
To get my license back, right? And I'll always go 2 months, 2.5 months. I think it was like 1 week away from getting declared, or like then it was like a bad week. It'd be like 1 month. Like then it was like 2 weeks, and then it was like mom was like, well, let's focus on what's triggering these type of things. And then that later brought on like the time I told them I got possessed. That's why I don't want to talk about some of this shit. He was like, oh, that's wild. Like, yeah, motherfucker. And it was funny because I told him this, and they thought I was joking the whole time. So yeah.
Going back to the question, do you think watching like we basically said, does that do you think that for you, in your opinion?
So as long as you're not a fearful individual, that kind of stuff won't be attracted to you. But overall, if you have a negative outlook on life, you end up being, the word repulsive actually applies there. You're repelling people and things, opportunities away from you. You know what I mean? That's what a negative mindset gets you, is nothing. You know, you're by yourself, you're solo, right? A positive mindset starts attracting things. It's a great attractor kind of mentality, right? Yeah. If you're like, if I believe that it's going to happen, there's a greater possibility of it happening because you're putting it out there. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Whereas if you're like, it'll never happen, you're right. You know what I mean? Either way, you're right, but it's just the opportunity gets presented or it doesn't, depending on your mindset. You know, and it also depends on how many of those parasites you got on you. Yeah. And some of them have flesh and blood, not just shadow people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, that's why like I stopped. I remember I told JD this. I was like, hey, we can't hang around negative Nancy's about comedy and stuff like that, because you could be doing good, and then the one time something bad happens and you like, he was right, and like, see, didn't I tell you that? Like, I was like, then I started thinking like that. I was like, man, I was like, positive one false step, but I can't be having people around it because I'm a naturally positive person. And I was like, and they start be around that, it starts like dwelling on you. You start thinking, I was like, nah, I gotta, and then
they're leeches.
You cut those people off, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm back to being normal. Like, fuck, like this is like amazing. So yeah,
you find that, like, sincerely, even like some of your good friends and stuff, when they start getting pretty negative, like in the music space, there's some people that just like, you know, why aren't we this? We're so much better than this, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, bro.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah, you start thinking like that. And then you're like, then you got to take a step back and you're like, dude, let me just keep doing my thing. Good for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I see what they're doing right.
Yeah.
I try to look at it like this. Like, even when something bad goes wrong, right? It's not a completely terrible day.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, was it just that part? Don't let that one, because there's a lot of people that will let one thing
discourage
ruin their whole day.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you can't live like that. It starts getting annoying for me now.
Yeah.
To see people do that, because I'm like, guys, that was 3 minutes out of 24 hours.
Yeah. There's a difference between a bad day and a bad moment.
But that's also
Right.
but
people let that.
Good quote.
But people let that trigger them.
But you also kind of like,
100%.
I mean, I think for me, it just, I'm critical of it, but it's not like I'm not going to do comedy anymore because of one fucking show,
For sure.
And I think that's, if you don't at least like, oh man, I could have done this better, it kind of helps you know, like, just grow past that shit, and that's why I do like, do like, fuck man, I could have done this better today, but and I kind of just take a mental note of how I felt so that I kind of, but that's why and like the whole like dabble in the dark stuff, like, it's
Title.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the name of the episode, dabble in the dark stuff. For you, does it ever become like hard to kind of, because you seem like a very uplifted dude, like does it ever become a challenge to do that with what you do?
Actually, surprisingly, no. It's the opposite.
Wow.
The more death that I come across and the more bodies that I burn, the happier I get. It's kind of fucked up, but let me put it like this, all right? And I'm not happy that people are dying. Yeah. I'm happy that I'm in a position to help kind of alleviate the pressure that people being alive make. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just like, this is a mess we all have to participate in cleaning up. And at a certain point, I think that, like, as soon as you get out of high school, if you want to get some real fucking perspective on life, send them into a crematory, send them into a mortuary, send them into the transport, send them into, what is that place called? Like the cops coroner.
Yeah,
right.
Coroner.
Coroner's
Where they do autopsies for murderers and stuff.
I used to be coroner certified, so I can go to like crime scenes and stuff like that and pick up bodies. And there were several that were, they changed my outlook on life a lot. You know what I mean?
In what sense? Like,
one thing for sure, and sorry guys, but if you're over like 250 pounds, taking a shit might be your last moment on earth. All right, because I can't tell you how many dudes I picked up that were 300, 400, 500, 600 fucking plus pounds died on the toilet taking a shit.
The heart attack that you cause from pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the heart attack causes nausea, which makes you think you have to take a shit, and then you're over there straining, and then you fall over in the tub, and your fat kind of just seals the air gap between.
So this doesn't happen for skinny people, huh?
No, they die in worse ways, I would say. Drugs. Like doing dumb shit and drugs. Fucking, I smoked weed and now fentanyl was in it, dead. And that was 22-year-old girl. Yeah. You know what I mean? That was a real thing.
And that's a big thing right now. I'm
huge. Yeah. It's if you're going to buy drugs, buy them off people that you've bought drugs off before. If you've never bought the drug before, don't fucking buy it. It's that simple.
It's not like you're getting a curly fry in your regular fries.
No, that's
with some fentanyl and cocaine.
That's a good thing. That's amazing.
That turned a bad day into a good day.
Right,
so
right.
Yeah, we're talking about
That's like
moments.
the greatest analogy I've ever heard.
I actually working on a joke that like fentanyl on cocaine.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So you mentioned it. You said young people who like not living a good life, stuff like that. Then you have them go work somewhere. A lady who was in my church, like we ended up playing football together. He was got like a bunch of tattoos. He wasn't like doing like the best thing. He's trying to play football. She's like, you're supposed to be playing football. You out here doing this other kind of thing. She's like, she made him come work with her because she works at the cremation. Like she owns like and then it wasn't until because he'd come to practice one time and then he'd kind of leave. He'd come and then like see him again like in 2 weeks. Then like over time, it's just like spring training. He's supposed to be there like Monday through Thursday because we're trying to like prepare for the season and trying to like actually make the team. She said he saw one of his homies come into like the mortuary. And then that's when he like oh shit, like, and then that's when he started getting serious about it because he had to like try to take care of his homie like before, and then all of a sudden I saw him there like every week, and then I was like, yo, dude, you missed last week. He's like, oh, dude, I was sick with the flu. Like he's like, I was dog sick. Like he was like, no, I was like, I know you. He's like, no, I was sick, dude. I couldn't go nowhere. Like I was throwing up, and then I looked at it, I was like, what, you lost about 10 pounds? He's like, yeah, dude, like it was bad. So then it became more, he was more accountable and actually try to show up with kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, the thing that attracts us all, they're all strings and attractors, right? It's like you end up running into somebody like 10 years down the road that you had a connection with somebody that was close to them 10 years prior, you know what I mean? So I forgot what point I was trying to make here. I'm sorry. Parallels. That's the other thing. You said if everything's on strings and attractors, then things that are parallel, like life paths, for example. You said he was a cousin, right?
No, he was a homie.
Friend, just a homeboy?
Yeah.
Okay. So the homeboy he couldn't see those strings and he couldn't see the pathway that he's walking. So, he's walking around in the dark blind as hell, and blind leading the blind makes nobody better for I don't know. Yeah. But long story short, he saw the line that was parallel to his, right? Because they're growing up in the same spot. They're hanging out with the same crew. They're going the same direction in life. And one of them gets cut. And he's like, oh shit, I can get cut anytime soon. I might as well go on the path that I want to go on rather than what everybody else wants me to. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that perspective, I think, is lacking in this world right now. Kids especially, since they've been locked up for so long, and not really interacting with other people, especially older people. Yeah. And that's the thing is that being able to talk to your grandparents puts you in a different mindset than talking to your parents, right? Because they had a different way of growing up and saw much different stuff.
Or you start getting information from each generation, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents and stuff like that.
And my great grandma was 92 when she passed away, and I spent a lot of time with her before that. One of the things that changed me with her was she was 88. She had just turned 88. And I took her out for her birthday. She picked me up in her car from BART, and then we drove to a restaurant of her choice, and I paid for the meal. And on the way there, she was like, I don't want to celebrate this birthday, basically. And I'm like, why, Nana? You're basically going to live forever. We want you to live forever. And she's like, well, I fucking don't. If I start having to become dependent on people again, I'd rather you just take me out back and shoot me like Old Yeller, word for word. Wow. And, that shocked me, same face, like, Nana, what the fuck? You're an 88-year-old lady saying this. And
it's pride.
She it's that. She looked at me and she was like, I did not come all this way just to go back into diapers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because she grew up a hard fucking life. She was born in 1929. Yeah. So, that's a long fucking time of just struggling, and she had to carry a lot of heavy weights, both metaphorically and physically. Yeah. And that being said, I learned a lot from her, learned a lot from my grandparents. I learned what not to do from my parents' generation, and I got to talk to a lot of different backgrounds from foster care, grew up in a black household, white household, racist, not racist, like all that stuff. I've seen it all. And that gave me the perspective I needed to be able to process a lot of this negative energy that comes in, from death that people attribute, and have a positive outlook on it. It just makes me stronger,
This is like, I hate to I feel like but is there ever any feeling you have from being the last person to see someone before they get incinerated? Particularly kids or something like that, like you're the last person to see them?
I learned early on not to look in baby caskets. All right, that's if you want something to suck your soul out, that'll be the fucking thing. Just a little precious, innocent life gone already. You didn't even get the chance to live. Jeez. Let me put it like this: if it's my responsibility to take care of you, I'm going to do it to the best of my fucking ability, and that's the least I can do. I'm going to beat the ashes up good. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, if you smell good enough, I'll give you a nickname. We had a couple of people that are like Church's Chicken. I remember that dude. There was garam masala. It smelled like Indian food. There was a dude that smelled like it's not delivery.
It's DiGiorno.
There you go. And so all these Newports and in a 40 ounce. There was one guy that smelled like that straight up.
Was he homeless?
No, not homeless. He was just some 40-year-old dude with dreads. Got hit while he was on a bike, riding across the street at 10 at night. Damn. Should have had flashers on. It was dark.
It sounds like he was drinking and bicycling, and that just wasn't going to do.
He was heading to work. He worked at Tesla.
Oh, was Church's Chicken's homeless?
This was Newports and 40 ounce.
What about Church's Chicken?
Church's Chicken was just like a 400-pound nigga. He was just a big ass dude.
Yeah,
just loved Church's Chicken. Probably lived over on 98th. Over there in Oakland.
Sounds like the grease took him out.
Yeah, probably. I mean, dude was huge. He was like a puddle.
Wow.
Anyway,
that's.
How do you fit big dudes in? Do you have just a giant?
Squeeze them. I'm just strap them in. So
like a Willy Wonka, the squeezing part of it.
Yeah, no bullshit. After you get in a certain size, you're basically a liquid, no longer a solid. So we just make a container that's the right dimensions. We put your big ass in there and then fucking.
So you have to custom.
There's a couple of custom caskets we got to make. A couple of Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders that are 500-600 pounds.
Right.
Gotcha.
And they have I call them bucket caskets because they're
They're huge.
Fucking, they're tall. They basically just drop you in there and you go.
Yeah.
Slide in there. This shit's fucking hilarious. I killed it again.
No, you're working. It's just your headphones.
Okay.
Yeah, the headphones go out, not the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Boo. It's okay.
We got to get that fixed.
Can you hear it?
I can't hear shit. Oh, wait. We're back.
Okay.
Somewhat.
I think it's the energies, bro.
They've
want you to
come.
hear.
They are talking too much. Is what it is.
They don't want you. They don't want people to hear some of this stuff.
Oh man.
Oh man. No, that's it kind of makes me feel grateful for people like you, man, because that's not a job most people could do. You know, like that's not. I always like. Does it ever affect you, like eating dinner later? Does it ever? No, it's just now just something that you're used to. That.
Yeah, it's there's a joke I like to tell. It's like the dumbest shit that I have in my repertoire. All right.
Yeah.
It's what do men that work with their hands like to do? Eat with their hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Thank you. It's dumb as fuck, but it's true. You know what I mean? Guys that are working construction, their hands are fucking filthy. They're over there eating a sandwich. You know what I mean? Just like they don't give a fuck.
I had a cousin who I think used to work in a crematorium also at I believe it was Saint Joseph's in Richmond. That where they do it all at the church there in the cemetery.
And they're shut down right now.
Yeah.
I've been getting all their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
wait, why are they shut down?
The crematory, they can't find operators up there for some reason. I guess they're too prissy to lay hands on dead bodies, I guess, even though they're in containers.
You guys need a job?
I do.
Yeah, you want to talk about an industry that's never fucking gonna die.
Yeah. So
he did it again.
So
hey, don't lose your head over it.
I think this is my cousin was working there, and he, after working there, I don't know for how many years, he went vegan basically because that smell of meat burning in the grill, like,
it smells good. I don't know. He's tripping. Shit's fucking great. Like, hey, this motherfucker smell like prime rib. Baby back.
It's similar to like pork, right? Like the smell.
The bigger you are, the more you smell like pork. Dudes that are like ultra athletes, they smell like. Have you guys ever smelled like bear meat cooking?
Yeah.
How gamey that shit is?
Yeah.
It's not gamey at all. Like, but it's about the same smell, if I can explain. It's like if you take the gaminess out of bear, that's what really fit people smell like. But the more corporeal fat you have on you, the more you smell greasy, fatty.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. When I got COVID.
Bacon. That's a big one.
And I had lost my smell. It was like it was weird because I lost my smell, so I couldn't smell nothing. I couldn't taste anything either. That was like the first time I like smelled like flesh burning. Like my homie sent me like a steak, and I was like, so I was just in the kitchen like just trying to have something. I wasn't gonna eat it, but I was like, this will last me like several meals because I could barely eat anything. And it was the first time like I was like, it smells like flesh. And like most of the time it's like, oh, this smells good. I'm like, oh my, what am I? What is this? I'm cooking. And I was like, oh my, it was so traumatizing as it happened.
That's
funny. I'm thinking like track athlete or somebody like that being cremated, probably the same smell.
Look, I would put it like this. I mean, you seen a dead body on fire?
No.
It's an eye-popping experience, but let me tell it like this. All right. So, I got them all, man. So
I've heard of that. That's like the first thing that,
around the same COVID times, right? I was one of the first people that caught that shit back in like January of 2020. Some Asian family. I'm not going to say specific. Sorry, I don't mean to get canceled here, right? So let me be very specific about what happened. I got called to a call from AAA, right? Like I'm working at AAA at the time.
Yeah.
They pull me over and they say, hey, I have a flat tire. I locked my keys in the car. I forget which one. But we're also serving food for Lunar New Year if you want to come over and eat.
Oh,
and
nice.
so they're Asian, right? And who else celebrates Lunar New Year, right? That's, okay. So long story short, I take this food with me and I'm destroying this shit. It's fucking delicious, right? I got like all kinds of shit I can't even name, right? And then I take it home, my lady smells it and she's like, I ain't eating that. What you mean? Like, this is some good ass smelling food. What you talking about? She's like, there's something wrong with it. I ain't gonna fucking eat it, right? So I eat the whole thing, same face. I destroy it. Like, I fucking eat, I don't waste food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
3 days later, I'm sick as fuck. Like, I'm taking a piss, I pass out, hit my head against the tub, snap awake, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then the next day, I feel like I got hit by a truck.
Yeah.
COVID. And I had that for about 3 or 4 days.
Was that real COVID back in the day?
So it was that shit that
before the strain got watered down.
Yeah. It would put you down or in the ground, either one. Because that shit it fucked me up.
Did the family like also get sick? Did you ever hear back from them after you?
Did you collect bodies?
No, I mean, I wish I was working there at that time, but no, because they were busy. They were doing like 90-hour paychecks guaranteed off of like a 80-hour work week, basically. That all being said, I never got in contact with that family, never asked questions, but everybody started getting sick. You know what I mean? I was just the first one to go down because I'm the dumbass that eats free food. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then shortly after that, got injured, cut through these 2 fingers with a knife like an idiot. And then, yeah, that was the first 4 months of 2020 for me. It was just being bedridden.
You brought up a good question for me to ask, because there's like people like, you know, I definitely had family members pass, and people that still say, oh, COVID is not real. Have you seen like a lot of bodies from COVID still?
They're doing a resurgence right now. There was a lull in when they put it on the death certificates, right? They'll tell you what you died of.
Yeah.
Let me just put it like this: if you are obese, have diabetes, have any kind of cancer, or are just old as shit, you catch COVID, you might die.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't have any of that shit going on with you, if you're not sick at all, if you're pretty damn healthy, you're probably going to be fucking fine, unless you got some lung shit going on.
Yeah.
You know, but there's always something else that's there that's killing you. That being said, when COVID wasn't in the news, it was also not on the fucking death certificates. There was just nothing on them. Nobody was dying from the flu. Nobody was dying from COVID. Nobody was dying from any of that shit. At least that was coming into my crematory. Yeah. But now that it's back in the news and everybody's freaking out about it, now it's showing up on the death certificates again. I just find that weird, because we've been still catching it all this time. So why the fuck aren't people dying in between the news cycles? You know what I'm saying? It's a little weirard. But.
Good point.
Or I'm just a dumbass and that's just how shit works. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Right. Okay. That's why I was
wondering. It could be both. I mean,
yeah.
Conspiracy /
Yeah, I mean, people could just be reacting to what's actually fucking happening, and you know, that could just be it.
It's possible that the
also you don't write the death certificates, right?
Fuck no, I just read them and laugh sometimes.
God.
Okay, this
Church's chicken.
Before we go, like
choked on chicken.
I want to know what's got to be
different guy.
What's got to be the most like you watch this show. I grew up watching that show, 100 Ways
to Die.
Or 1,000 Ways to Die.
1,000 Ways to Die.
1,000 Ways to Die. What's been the dumbest thing you've seen someone die from? Like, I always wonder about that.
Dumbest. I mean, I consider people that drink cough syrup recreationally to be pretty fucking stupid.
Jesus. Sure.
You know what I mean? Because I watched my friend literally stare at a light and not know how to fucking say the word that it is. You know, just like, I don't know what that thing is. And it's like, it's a fucking light. Can you say light? No. Yeah, he's fucking making himself dumb. But we've had like 15, 16-year-olds that drank too much cough syrup and dropped dead. I consider that to be pretty dumb. Wow. He's like, it's a cough syrup. Why the fuck are you drinking it for fun? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Buy alcohol.
The inner lining of your stomach.
It's all DJ Screw's fault. The entire city of Houston.
Yeah.
Popularized that.
Don, it's been a pleasure having you on,
sir.
man. I think we need to have you back later on.
Totally down.
We didn't even get to talk about comedy.
We didn't even talk about comedy, but hey,
we'll talk about comedy
maybe
next
we'll see you. Maybe we'll see you on shows soon, and
yeah, I'll be back out.
We could brew up the next conversation. I think there's a lot that we talked on today that we talked about the last episode. That's why I didn't get too much into that, and also because I know Corday doesn't like hearing some of that stuff. So
sure don't.
But I would love to, like, for sure have you back, man. So thank you for coming out in here and sharing. You want to plug your social medias or anything like that for people to follow?
I don't see why not. You can find me on Instagram at Don Sombra Forever, DonSombra Forever, because I'm going to be here until I die. So that being said, check it out. I got a lot of art on there, some of my comedy sets and that kind of stuff. Just appreciate your life. That's all I can really leave you with. Just cool. It's temporary.
Thank you for your service, bro.
Yeah,
appreciate that
so much.
I mean, I wish it was worth saluting, but
no,
I was like,
you know what? It is something that's that I see as like that's a necessary thing, and
somebody's got to do.
Somebody's got to do it.
You're helping bring comfort to families. No, that's
for sure.
And I
appreciate you for that.
Military or not.
And it's the stuff that a lot of people don't want to look at. So, you know, you've got to have some people with strong stomachs to be able to do it, you know?
I like my steak rare.
God.
It reminds me of work.
God damn.
Well, it's been the voice party.
And we're out.
Hell yeah.